Major Slack Attack.
Hey, welcome back to Major Slack Attack, your first stop for starkly strategic Starfield gameplay. Today's video is all about transfer containers, what they are, how to set them up, what they're supposed to do, and what they don't do. The latter of which makes them essentially useless. Yeah. Unless you're only using them for a single resource. Yeah, so why do this video, Slack? I'm just putting this out there in hopes that, this is not a bash Bethesda video, by the way, okay? I'm a big fan of Bethesda games. Everyone knows I'm a Skyrim guru. I have like over 20,000 hours in Skyrim. I have tons of Fallout 4 videos. I currently have 248 hours in counting in Starfield. Yeah, and I really like Starfield, but the transfer container, I was going to call this video "The Transfer Container Sucks," but once again, yeah, I want to be respectful and just point out to Bethesda and others that it has a really big design flaw. Let's get down to brass tacks. Here we are at my outpost, my XP money farm outpost here on Bezel 3B. Alright, if you want to know how to make this XP outpost, XP money farm outpost, refer to part 9 of this walkthrough. Part 9 of this walkthrough will show you exactly how to set this all up. And what I have here is 4 extractors. For those of you who don't know. Okay, I have an iron extractor, aluminum extractor, a cobalt extractor, and iron, aluminum, cobalt. What am I missing? Nickel. Okay, so I believe my nickel extractor is over there. Cobalt is behind it, and the aluminum is over there. Okay, so 4 different resources I have at this outpost. I can pump out aluminum, iron, nickel, and cobalt in order to make adaptive frames, which requires iron and aluminum, and isocentered magnets, which requires nickel and cobalt. Now, all these resources are very, very common resources, and you use them for many other things, including setting up other outposts. In my first playthrough of the game, whenever I needed resources like aluminum, iron, nickel, and cobalt, I didn't know about transfer containers. Not that it would have helped me if I did, but what I did was I was thinking, okay, why buy aluminum, iron, nickel, or cobalt? I could just come to my outpost and get all these resources for free by simply running up to the containers that the extractors are connected to and just simply transferring however much nickel I want, however much cobalt I want, etc., etc. And just for demonstrational purposes, I'm going to show you what I was doing before. So you have to run all the way around. That's the nature of this outpost. A lot of the extractors are on the perimeter because that's how you can manage to get 4 resources all in the same outpost perimeter, because they're all on the extremities. So if you wanted to get these resources, you'd have to make a long run around to all the different resources. See, there's the aluminum extractor, and the iron extractor is over on the other side. I just showed you that of the landing pad. Okay, so that's a tedious process. This is what the transfer container is for, supposedly. Okay, let me just go to my ship. Get up. Okay, so I'm now on my ship. Either way, I can always access my ship's inventory by pressing data menu, going down here to ship, and then pressing cargo hold like that. And there's my ship's cargo hold, and then if I just press the inventory, that swaps over to my inventory. But that's it. Those are the only 2 options. With the transfer container, you add a 3rd option. Anytime you're on your ship, or anytime you're in the confines of your outpost. But what I mean by anytime you're on your ship is assuming your ship is within the confines of your outpost, like on the landing pad, okay? So that's what the transfer container does. It adds a 3rd option for a container that is connected to all your resources. Let's set one up. Okay, this will require 5 tungsten, 8 iron, and 4 aluminum. Let's go into fly cam mode and just set it up anywhere. Plunk it right down here, right here. Okay? You can easily transfer items between an outpost and your ship by building a transfer container. To fill the transfer container, create output links to it from the extractors and builders. Okay, let's do that. Let's go over to modify mode. And let's go with what they suggest. Let's attach the extractors. By the way, you can only build one transfer container per outpost. Okay, let's just... Over this, I'm in modify mode and I'm pressing the... whatever it says for you. I'm pressing the right mouse button. It says create output link. That's what I'm pressing. Okay, that button could be a lot different for you. So press that. You drag this red line over to the transfer container and press create output link to complete it. Okay, we'll do the same with all the other extractors. There's my aluminum extractor. And this is my iron extractor, I believe. Yeah. Okay, so all the resources are connected to the transfer container. Done and done. No problem, eh? No problem. Let's go take a look at the transfer container. First of all, let's go take a look at how it's supposed to work. We'll go back to our ship. Okay, now what you're supposed to be able to do is be able to access all your resources without having to get off your ship. So you just simply land at your outpost on the landing pad and you can get resources from your containers without having to run around to all the different containers and get those resources. Okay, so I'm on the ship now. Data menu. Cargo hold. Okay, so now we have the razor leaf. Now we have my inventory. And now we have a new inventory, the Bezel 3 outpost. And here's where all the resources are. Now as you can see, some time had passed and the transfer container already filled up with some, not all, some of the resources. Filled up with a lot of nickel, a lot of cobalt, but only a little bit of aluminum and no iron. This is typical. This is actually a little better than typical, but this is typical. So, it ran short. Well, just wait. Okay, let's just wait. It just needs time to get its shit together, right? Let's just wait how long I would normally wait to fill up all the containers if I was going to do, say, an XP money farm run, which would be 4 hours. Okay, waited. Data menu. Cargo hold. Bezel 3 outpost. It's the same deal. Only 6 aluminum, 129 cobalt, and 200 nickel. It's broken, Slack. No, it's not broken. The problem is Bethesda designed these transfer containers to function like containers, which I think is a big mistake. They should have made them as simply conduits. The problem is they have a limited capacity and not all your resources get produced at the same rate. So invariably what happens is 1 or 2 resources immediately clog up the transfer container, leaving no room for the other resources to come in. So they should never have done it like this. They should never have put a limited capacity. See, the capacity is 200 on these. Sometimes you'll see it actually go over it. Sometimes they seem like 233 out of 200, but not much over. So that is the biggest problem with these things. They're just not useful. What they should have done is make these a conduit. Not make them act like containers, but just simply make them as a conduit or a gateway. If they're worried about people abusing them as unlimited storage in their outposts, just have them function exactly the way your industrial workbench works. I mean, your industrial workbench shows you exactly how much resources you have. at your disposal. Go to your industrial workbench. And we want to crank out some adaptive frames so you can see clearly how much iron we have at our disposal, how much aluminum we have at our disposal, how much nickel, and how much cobalt. The transfer container should function exactly like this. It should simply display a list of all your resources and how much you have, exactly the way the industrial workbench does. I don't see why they could have made it like that. So this, I'm sorry to say, is essentially useless. And I tried everything before. I mean, I googled it and Reddited it, and I saw a lot of people trying to, act like, real smarty pants and say, well, you didn't set it up right, because other people were complaining about the same thing, and they were saying, well, you didn't set it up right. You're supposed to link the last container in the link in the chain of containers from leading to the extractor to the transfer container. Been there, done that, doesn't work. I tried the first container, I tried the last container, I tried them all. Let's just try the last container right now. By the way, if you want to delete an outpost link, all you have to do is hover over the link. Okay, and if you're having problems, you can spin it around here like that, and you get the option. When it turns white like that, you get the option to delete. Press that button, and you delete it. Okay, so that's how I delete output links. Okay, so let's just delete all these links. It's a little finicky. Okay, so all the outpost links, all the transfer containers links are deleted. This is the last one in the chain of containers. Last one in this chain of containers. And finally the last one in this chain of containers. Okay, so the last containers, which are supposedly the first containers to get filled up. Whenever you chain a whole bunch of containers together and link them to an extractor, the last one in that chain of containers is the first one to get filled up. Alright? So those are all linked up. It's going to be the same problem every single time. The limited capacity is going to screw everything up. And let's just reset it by taking out everything in here. Take all resources. Okay? Let's back out and see what it does. Did it again. Gave us a big whack of cobalt, big whack of iron, a little bit of nickel, and no aluminum. Let's just take out all the resources again. Take all resources. Back out. And let's just take out all the resources again. Back out. And let's just take out all the resources again. Back out. Can't get aluminum to appear. Well, what do? It's like, Then I tried linking the first container instead. Same deal. Same deal. So trying to get all the resources to, I mean, even if you got, I have occasionally gotten lucky and got all 4 resources to appear, not in like equal amounts, but I did once in a blue moon manage to get all 4 resources to appear, but certainly not in like amounts that made sense. Like I would get like just like this, whole bunch of cobalt, whole bunch of nickel, whole bunch of iron, and a little bit of aluminum, which made it useless because let's say you wanted 50 aluminum, you'd be stuck with the same problem. You have to run over to the aluminum extractor. So I don't know. I've tried everything. I've tried turning all the resources into adaptive frames and isoscended. Let's do that right now, just for posterity. Okay. Gonna crank out a whole bunch of adaptive frames. Just empty out all the extractors. and then take everything out of the transfer container. See what it does. Okay. Okay, so all we have is 319 nickel and 57 aluminum. And we got a whole bunch of isocentric magnets and adaptive frames on board. That's neither here nor there. Okay, this is what you'd expect to see. There we go. We finally got all 4 resources to appear in the transfer container. Okay, looks pretty cool, eh? Looks like everything's gonna function normally. Okay, let's go wait 4 hours and see if we can get it to fill up. Let's just build a bed here. Wait 4 hours, that's why I normally wait. See what I'm saying? Pardon my French, but this is fucking ridiculous. This is useless. I've only got 1 cobalt at my disposal, and I've only got 3 aluminum. So it looks like this time, but it's not always the case, this time nickel and iron completely commandeered most of the space in the transfer container. So this is very typical. It's essentially useless. Unless, like I said, you're only using the transfer container for a single resource. Trying to get up to the platform so I can get onto the ship. Just to demonstrate that. Well, it's the same thing. Data menu. There's the cargo hold. There's my inventory. There's the transfer container. It's the same thing. It's not like if you use this method of accessing the transfer container, you're going to get different results. It's the same thing. I only got 1 cobalt. So the only way I can get more, I mean, even that won't work. So post a comment. I've Googled this and looked up on Reddit, and a lot of other people are complaining about the same thing. Their transfer containers are useless for outposts with multiple resources. Useless. Sorry, post a comment. What do you think? I've tried everything. I have dicked around with every possibility. Like I said, I tried linking the extractors, I tried linking the first container, I tried linking the last container. I've even tried linking 2 extractors and 2 containers. You know, 1 extractor, 1 container, everything to kind of, you know, tweak it so that, I mean, obviously the problem is the limited capacity. That's obviously the problem. It's the limited capacity. They should never have made them function like containers. They should simply have made them a conduit, basically a gateway into all the resources at your outpost. That's my opinion. Alright, they're useless. Here is my workaround. Instead of using a transfer container, all I did was go into modified mode, and each of my extractors has 4 containers attached to it, all chained together. I just took the last container and moved it over to a central container depot here, okay? Just maintaining the same output link, because you link all the containers one to the other, right? So I just maintain the same output link and then simply stretch the last container over. So here is the last container for my cobalt extractor. Here's the last container for my nickel extractor. The last container for my aluminum extractor is over here, and the last container for my iron extractor is over here, and I just put them all together right in front of the outpost beacon. So as soon as I land, I just land. I'm here at the outpost beacon, just to demonstrate. See, I go to my outpost, travel. There I am. And there's all my resources right there, but I do have to manually go up to the container, take out as much cobalt, as much nickel, as much aluminum, and as much iron as I want, and then I'm on my way. So that's my makeshift transfer container. It doesn't work when you're on the ship, but at least it's right there as soon as you land at the outpost. So that's the workaround solution I have. But that's it. That's everything you need to know about transfer containers. If you want to add something, feel free to post a comment. But in my humble opinion, I think they're useless. This needs to be tweaked. This definitely needs to be tweaked. It needs to be, the transfer container needs to have its capacity, its limited capacity removed. It needs to function more like a conduit or a gateway into your outpost resources rather than a container. It's, you know, a transfer container essentially is just any old container with the ability to link your resources to it and that you can access on your ship. But if you put limited capacity on it, it's useless. It's useless. Just my humble opinion. So that's it for this video. Like I said, post a comment. What do you think? Thanks a lot for watching. And if you thought this was remotely entertaining and or informative, you know what to do. Give me a thumbs up, post a comment, and most importantly, subscribe to make sure you get all my videos hot off the press. Alright, see you next time. Hey guys, real walkthroughs like these are an endangered species here on YouTube. For a complete lowdown on the YouTube video game walkthrough scene, check out my Patreon page, and please consider making a donation to yours truly, Major Slack, to help keep real walkthroughs alive on YouTube. You can donate as little as $1. That's $1, that's all. That's all it takes, alright? Thanks a lot, really appreciate it.